everybody. I'm Lynn Petrick, Senior Editor at Progressive Grocer, and welcome to Top Women in Grocery. It's a podcast that focuses on the trends, topics, and interests that move women forward in our industry. We spotlight extraordinary women with interesting lives and amazing careers who do so much work to improve their workplaces and the community around them. And today I'm so excited to welcome Elda Galvez, Senior Manager of Design at HEB, and Carol Bartolo, VP at BRR Architecture. Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
A little bit more background on you so our audience gets to know you a little bit. Elda AIA is Senior Manager of Design at HEB. She's a registered architect with over 20 years of expertise in design, project, and team management and the strategic execution of large-scale multi-site capital investment programs. For the past 6 years, she has been a key leader at HEB, serving as Senior Manager of Design, where she oversees their multi-store remodel program. In this role, she works with a wide range of stakeholders to create customized design solutions for each store, ensuring the projects are delivered on time, within budgets, and at the highest level of quality. With deep experience in managing complex projects, from building assessments and code compliance to design development and construction administration, Elda's developed a keen ability to balance business goals with creative solutions. And she's passionate, and we'll hear more about this later, about fostering strong collaborative teams and mentoring future leaders. And we're also pleased to welcome Carol Bartolo. She's Vice President at BRR Architecture. She has more than 25 years of experience providing full-scope architectural services, managing projects from the early onset to conceptual design through construction administration and project closeout. In her 15-plus years at BRR, she's worked with retail, grocery, industrial, and hospitality clients on a variety of project formats, from new construction to tenant improvements, and has also been involved in conceptual prototype design efforts. So welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
This is a fun topic. Yes, thank you so much. This is such a fun topic for us because we talk so much about store experience, and we've talked about it a lot over the past few years. It's been very, very competitive in our industry. So design is such a crucial factor in the store experience in brick and mortar locations. And Carol, we'll start with you. What do you like most about designing in the grocery space?
So as you've mentioned, grocery shopping, really has evolved to become very experiential. So being able to help our clients create and design that custom experience for their customers is what makes this an exciting project type. So with grocery design, especially physical stores, it has to be fully immersive. So you're capturing what you really can't feel online. And so you're dealing with all the five senses and solving for how space plays a role in supporting that. So it's the lighting, the temperature, the ease of finding what you're looking for. So I think the circulation and how the customer moves through the store, what they see and don't see, and what they discover, it's really all part of the story. And so architectural elements or a strategic layout can actually control how quickly the customer moves through the store, how quickly or actually how slowly, and then ultimately affecting how much they buy. So in many instances, store design is, it's this creative backdrop where the focus is on the food and the products. And when it's designed successfully, it could really help build that customer loyalty, for repeat visits. But I think why I enjoy it is because of the added layer of challenge, where you have to equally design the experience for the store operator and their employees, who actually make the experience happen. So just as we design the circulation for customers, the circulation of products are also a really big part of the design. And so it's about the efficiency, the layout, the amount of storage, cleanliness, the ease of cleanability and maintenance, all of which affects labor costs and store operations. So it's really, the design needs to keep the fantastical balanced with the practical. And I think that's what makes this project type different and unique.
And it's exciting because it is exciting, but at the same time, you have so different lighting requirements. You have temperature variations within there. You have, weather elements. You have all kinds of things going on with there. And Elda, what would you say what do you like designing in this space in the grocery industry? Because obviously you love it. You do great work.
I think I'm going to mimic Carol and say designing a grocery store is like creating a theatrical experience for the customers that are going to flow through that space. And the challenge is to create some type of emotion or evocation that allows the customer to get back to us and come back with a level of satisfaction that we've provided something to them that allows them to enrich their daily lives. I do think that there's a big balance between creating that experience, emotions that come with retail shopping, and also making sure that it works correctly and it becomes an efficient layout that allows my partners, the partners that are working in the store, to service that customer and to create that for them.
And you really have an ooh and ah factor, especially at HEB. I'm going to
We
say
always try.
you really do. You go in there, and it is theatrical. So mission accomplished on that front. And Carol, how important and challenging is it to design stores that align with a banner's look and feel? Because it has to align with that branding, but it also has to reflect the community. Because what might work in one city might not have the feel in another city. So what's that walking the line there?
In working with many national regional grocers, we really understand the importance of maintaining the brand in the store design. And that's everything that makes that grocer special or unique, and not only their look and feel, but what they stand for. So typically, this is once again tied to that experience as you move through their store, as well as recognizable brand colors and materials. But at the same time, as architects, we know that a building should respond to its environment, and even enhance it. So, and I know, and I'm sure Elda will speak about this, that grocers know the importance of being a partner in the community and understanding what their local customer wants or expects. So, in our experience with working with grocers, there's just this deep desire to incorporate that vibe and flavor of the local community within the store design. So, whether it's on the exterior, mimicking local materials and colors, or even on the interior with like dedicated feature walls or community rooms, or even the incorporation of local products. I think the design here is about making it work so that the brand is still recognizable, but the local flavor of the community is purposefully integrated
Yeah.
And
into
a
the
lot of
store.
times that can be subtle too. I mean, what do you think, Elda?
Extremely subtle.
Yeah. And how does that kind of play out kind of at the store level when you see that work well?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of tools that you can use to have brand recognition. It's what distinguishes you from the rest of the offerings that are out there. But it's important that we understand that brand doesn't just stand for a logo or a color or a set of colors, or some type of physical. It's a set of values. And those set of values need to be incorporated in the design of the store so that the customers experience those as they approach and they go through the store. Um, those values usually tend to align with the communities that we serve. And because of that, it allows us to have opportunities where they can get easily and seamlessly be integrated together.
Hmm. And that's got to be kind of neat for you to go store to store. And I'll ask you this, Carol. How cool is that for you to go to the different stores and see it in person? Pretty cool seeing what.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
every store is very different. At HEB, we strive to make sure that we're serving a community and we're serving a specific population. And we
Mhm.
study that community fairly well in order to um, see how we can integrate that into our design, into our offerings, as well as make sure that our values align with their values.
And Carol, is that pretty cool for you to go into stores that you've designed? And I'm sure any kind of facility you designed, but especially in a grocery store when people are busy and they're using that space in so many different ways. How cool is that?
Yeah, I love to see the energy, because for us, that's the metric of whether the design is successful or not. And so it's always exciting, especially a grand opening, but to actually go back, maybe a year later and to see if, how things have changed, or if it's always going to be a learning tool on how successful it is, but always exciting to see people enjoy and think of the store as, part of their community.
For sure. You get to see that firsthand.
And
Elda,
the the community itself tends to be a group of individuals that will want to talk to you and will want to tell you as you're walking the store, let me tell you what I like about it. Let me tell you what I don't like about it. And my advice is always listen. Pay close attention to what they're saying, because there's always some truth that you can learn and you can apply to and grow from.
I love that advice. And one thing I found unique about HEB stores when I go there, it is every store has different departments, right? But you do a really cool job of creating distinctive areas of design within different parts of the store. And how purposeful is that, Elda?
It's extremely purposeful. And what we are, I'll just have to say, I work with an amazing group of partners, and they're all collaborating with the goal of how can we make this experience unique to, to the city, to the neighborhoods that we're going to serve there. There's a lot of listening. There's a lot of thought process. It takes a lot of time and effort from many individuals that are thinking about what offerings are going to be there, what works in that community. Is that community ready to take on something that's a little bit more innovative in terms of food offerings, that what we would do in this typical area? And it's a little bit about give and take, but also keeping in mind that stores are living, breathing entities, extremely dynamic, and they change as we change and we grow throughout life. So what you might want to have liked as a kid to eat is totally different as a young adult, and then it's going to evolve and your tastes are going to evolve, and making sure that that store is appealing for all of that population is important to us.
And that kind of brings me to another question about the future of grocery store design. Carol, do you have some thoughts on what the future might bring? If things are I love that things are always changing and it's a living, breathing thing. What do you see for the future, Carol?
We mentioned experience, and I think that's going to continue to drive the design and the layouts. But I believe truly that the experience now starts remotely, online, on your phone, in your kitchen. And I think the challenge will be integrating that physical store with that digital world and vice versa. But I also look at it as an opportunity. I think there's like an important zone in a grocery store, really kind of the threshold upon entry, where that store experience has to bridge the gap between the online and in store. So I think that is going to continue to evolve, and what that front end of the store is going to look like. And then, of course, convenience. I mean, the demand or the expectation for quicker and faster is also going to inform those store layouts, and maybe even the size or the format of it. And so that's something that I'd like to further track and see how we can help in that area.
It's so interesting because you have to do that and also allow for discovery. Those moments of discovery where people can linger and kind of putz when they're in the aisle too, when they want to, and other times when you're on a mission and you gotta go find those solutions right away. Yeah. Elda, what do you see about the future? I mean, you guys are on such a wonderful pace of refreshes and updates and new stores. So what do you see for the future?
Well, I couldn't agree with Carol more. I think we have to keep our eye on how we integrate the virtual experience with the physical environment. And I think it is critical that we get it right, but we tend to make sure that we give each other its space. I think that we have to pay attention to our demographics, and we have to understand that there's a new generation, Generation Z, that is coming up and there are 70 million customers right there that have a lot of potential on saying what's going to drive the grocery design format for the next few years. And we have to make sure that we listen as we listen to all our customers. The other thing is there's going to be some type of attention to the availability of resources that we might have in order to develop our stores. What kind of energy conservations we're going to use in order to make sure that we are successful in competing with some of our virtual online shopping and still able to provide those levels of experience.
That's an absolute great point. And so pay attention to those little kids in the store. Right? they're now.
Absolutely.
They might want candy and everything, but it's all about the attention span, I think, with the future consumers that we have here. And on a personal level, what I find inspiring about both of your backgrounds is it a pretty unique role that you have in the architecture field? And what advice do you have for young designers, for would-be designers, and to get that next generation of female designers? And Carol, if you want to take that first.
Yeah, I believe that the uniqueness isn't necessarily in the role, but in the experience. I entered the architecture profession almost 25 years ago, and you do see the number of women in architecture increase. You see it in the schools where women comprise probably half of the architecture students, yet the number of licensed female architects is still less than a third. And yeah,
okay.
and so and then of course, as you look at higher level positions, the number of women who hold those roles become even smaller. So there's certainly something that's happening in between. And so in looking at the profession as a whole, I do know that there's still quite a bit of work we need to do in the areas of, gender bias or stereotypes and work-life challenges, even compensation recognition. But on the positive side of things, I know that in the latest NCARB report, the number of newly licensed architects who are female is just over 40%. And that's amazing news. And so what I want to say is let's keep women in architecture and not lose them along the way, as they grow in their career. I've really been fortunate in my own to found male allies who've been supportive and advocates for me, especially as a young female architect, where it's sometimes intimidating to find your voice. But
right.
Exactly. And maybe I have a positive outlook because I've also been fortunate to have found BRR Architecture, where our firm is actually led by a very strong CEO who happens to be female. And so even half of our partnership group at the principal level is female, which is a huge opportunity for, mentoring the next generation of architects. And so again, that's why this positive outlook from me, and towards the young female designers out there. So I think, and then if we're going to relate this specifically to grocery or grocery store design, I think women bring a unique perspective and an attention to detail that really helps elevate that experience for customers. So my advice to young women designers is, your voice and your perspective matters, and bring who you are and what you know to the table, but also be open to learning and working with a diverse group of people, because grocery shoppers themselves are a diverse group and would certainly benefit from designs that, address the different needs.
Oh, that is so well put. Yeah, because everybody's in the stores,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I love that. And I would think that mentorship's important to you too, to give it back, to mentor some of the young women that you work with too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And Elda, what about you? What do you think about fostering that next generation that you see at HEB?
I think it's critical. We thrive on diversity of any kind. And I think that if we're inclusive of that diversity while we're planning, we're going to get a better sense of what our customer is like and what they want and what they need from us. I think women in architecture in every single field are necessary to bring that different perspective to the table. I've had the pleasure of working with some outstanding women in the industry. And one of the things that I can say is 20 years ago, it felt like a very lonely career path for a female. And I've seen in the last 20 years a huge shift, but that is only because there's other leaders that have allowed, mentored, and protected women to stay in architecture, which is a very demanding field, and allowed them to have a life balance that allows them to continue to grow professionally as they are raising their families. It is important for us to have those types of perspective if we're going to have inclusive design. And grocery design needs to be inclusive.
For sure. And I would imagine, boy, with all the employees that HEB has and some of them that start at such a young age, it can be really inspiring for someone that maybe just starts off working at the store level and is inspired by the surroundings around them to know, hey, you can get into store design. You can design one of these someday.
It happens to us all the time where we're walking the stores and it's a group of architects, engineers planning for a remodel. And we're talking to our partners and they're looking and they're like, hey, I didn't know that HEB had architects. I'm like, yeah, somebody had to think of the space that you're walking through and make sure that it's an accommodating experience for all of us. And that allows us to introduce them. We have a fantastic internship programs where some of our partners that work in our stores come and intern with us for a few months during the summer, and they get to experience that as well. They get exposed to different career paths, not just architecture.
I love that. It's all about giving opportunities. And Carol, yeah, you have to promote that grocery side of your business at BRR, right? Because there's so many things to do. Of course, and on the other industries too.
Yeah.
I would advise anyone that's starting their career right now for them to advocate for themselves and to seek groups of like-minded associations with women or, you know, your local chapter for architecture and seek those connections because they're important for you to grow and to balance back and forth, you know, your own career goals as they're shifting. And, you know, you're learning a lot from those individuals, those peer groups that at the end of this, after 20 years, you're going to meet them again in some other way. So create those connections. Those are important with engineers, with construction industry professionals. You will learn a lot as you develop in your career path if you give yourself the opportunity to experience and to talk to others.
I love that. Well, it was a joy talking with both of you. I can just feel the inspiration and hopefully someone that listens to this too will keep increasing the ranks of these amazing designers and architects. I appreciate it. And thank you both so much for your time today.
Thank you for having us.
And if you have an idea for a podcast, feel free to reach out to me, lptrack@ensembleiq.com. Thank you and have a great day.